What's up, guys? It's Carly with FasciNATIVE English, where if you are finally ready to take your English to another level and to begin speaking English like a native English speaker, then you've come to the right place. So let's get into it. Merry Christmas, everyone! Well, I know it's only like the first week of December, but I love Christmas, and so every day in December is Christmas to me. Of course, I'm going to share that with you all here on YouTube. So this month, just like we had for Halloween, we had the month of Halloween themed videos, and then November we had the month of Thanksgiving themed, and now for December we're having a month of Christmas themed videos. Be prepared. This month, I'm bringing the holiday spirit, the holiday cheer to your, electronic device that you're watching right now. Phone, tablet, computer, TV, whatever. I'm bringing the holiday cheer with slang and idioms and phrases that kind of have something to do with Christmas or possibly can be related to Christmas or winter, the holiday season. So without further ado, today's phrase is on thin ice. Again, that is on thin ice. On thin ice. Now, what could on thin ice possibly mean? This phrase just means in a precarious or risky situation, all right? In a precarious or risky situation. You are on thin ice. Now, you can also hear it as skating on thin ice. You are skating on thin ice. It means the same thing. On thin ice, skating on thin ice. It just means you are in a precarious or risky situation. Now, a lot of times we use this when you are about to get in trouble, whether it's a parent and a child, and the parent is saying to the child, hey, you're on thin ice right now.
You're on thin ice.
You need to behave. You need to act right. That kind of situation. Or sometimes you can be on thin ice, like with your job, with your employer. Maybe you're not doing your job right. Maybe you're slacking off. Maybe you just don't really care and you're just there for the paycheck. We've all been there sometimes where we just have a bad job and you want to quit, but you also don't want to quit. And you're skating on thin ice, all right? You're on thin ice. You're in a risky situation because your employer probably is going to fire you, or maybe they've thought about firing you. So you're on thin ice. There can also be people like couples or even friendships that their relationship is on thin ice. Maybe they've encountered some challenges in their relationship or their friendship, and now it's not as stable as it used to be. So you can say, man, I don't know about their relationship. It seems like it's on thin ice, But I would say for the most part, we use this phrase in regards to someone getting in trouble in the foreseeable future, very near future. If you are getting in trouble or you're about to be reprimanded for something, or, maybe it's a warning, like, hey, if you keep acting the way that you're acting right now, you're going to get in trouble. You can just give it as a little warning. Hey, you're on thin ice. Or, hey, you're skating on thin ice right now. You have to say it with like a little firm. This is how I say it to my kids, mom mode. Hey, you're skating on thin ice right now. That's how I say it. Gotta scare them a little bit. So it just means you're in a risky or precarious situation, all right? Something is probably gonna happen if you don't change the way that you're acting right now. Of course, I have a story for you all today, and this story is fun. Funny, maybe. But at the time when this happened, it was devastating for me. Okay, so I was in middle school, and I really wanted to get my driver's license, all right? And in Florida, I grew up in Florida, and in Florida, you can get them at 15. You get something called a learner's permit, and then at 16, you get your driver's license. My parents got my learner's permit when I turned 15, no problem. I took the test, boom, passed.
Look out, Bikini Bottom! There's a new driver on the road!
I got my learner's permit, and I always wanted to drive because, when you get your learner's permit or whenever you first start to drive, you want to drive everywhere. Now I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, no, I am a passenger princess. Please do not let me drive this car. I do not want to drive. It's boring. But when I was 15, 16, half a lifetime ago, 15 years ago, I wanted to drive everywhere all the time. But my parents, they only really let me drive around our house. They wouldn't let me go on the expressway or far, places because they're like, oh, we aren't prepared to teach you that yet. So a lot of times I would just get to go to the grocery store, maybe drive to school, but it was always with my parents, sometimes with my sister, but it had to be with somebody who was 21 or older. That was like the rules. When you have your learner's permit, you have to drive with somebody who is 21 and older. My options were limited. I only had like my older siblings and my parents to drive with, my friends and stuff like that. I couldn't ride with them. But then when I turned 16, I was able to start driving by myself as long as I got my driver's license. So I was like begging my parents, okay, I've studied a lot. I'm ready to take the test. Like, can I please get my driver's license? I'm ready.
Please, 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 please.
And they were like, okay, like we'll take you. My birthday rolls around and I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's do this thing. And then my parents go and they're like, oh, well, we have to make an appointment. I'm like, okay, ain't no problem.
That ain't no problem. Huh? That ain't no problem.
Go ahead and make that little appointment. Let's get in here and get my driver's license. Clock is ticking. I'm ready to get out there on the road and drive. And the appointment was like for a month later, a whole month almost. I had to wait because this is America. And I'm just going to tell you right now, if you want to do anything in America, you're going to have to wait.
One eternity later.
Like we take forever for stuff, and don't hate me for it. It's just, if you want to get your driver's license, you have to wait. If you want to get a visa to go somewhere, you have to wait. If you want to do anything social security related or like any kind of legal document related, you're gonna have to wait. It's just, that's how it is in America. And so it was like almost a month wait for me to take my test. Like I could have gotten in there and done the driving portion, but you had to take the test before you took the driver's portion, and it was just like a whole big mess. So I was like, have to wait almost a month. My birthday's in June. I had to wait until the beginning of July. My birthday's in the beginning of June too. So I had to wait literally basically a whole month. I was like, okay, well, I can practice. I can at least practice more. Like I've practiced for a whole year. I think I'm ready, but I can at least practice some more. So I was like every day asking my parents, like, can I drive? Please, please, please. And I know I was annoying. I apologize for being annoying. But then I had asked so many times, and my parents sometimes say yes, but most of the time say no, because they're like, Carley, you're good. You've already learned. You've been learning for a year. You don't need to drive. It's kind of annoying sometimes for my parents too. Like they feel like they're risking their life with me driving in the car.
Oh my God, I almost died. No. I almost died. That was so scary. Thank you.
And they didn't have the heart to really tell me like, hey, Carley, I'm scared. So they would just say like, oh no, like you can drive the next day. I'm a good driver now because of my parents teaching me. But back then I was still new, And so my parents would just say like, oh no, another time. Well, I remember one time I was like, why? Like I'm about to get my license and then I can drive wherever I want. So like, why can't I drive right now? And with you guys. And my parents were just like, Carley, you're on thin ice right now. I'm about to cancel the appointment. And I was like, what? Excuse me? And I didn't say like, excuse me, but in my head, it was like my brain like glitched and I was like, cancel the appointment? I'm just like, what's going on? And my parents were like, you're really skating on thin ice. I'm in a risky situation, like you're skating on thin ice. You've asked way too many times. I'm about to cancel this appointment. It seems like, you're not listening to us. And I was like, oh. Oh no! Save the children! I just want to drive. I just want to, learn and drive, like please. And it's coming from, I'm not saying this to like bash my parents or anything. Like it's coming from a good place, because my parents literally taught me how to drive and they've done everything good for me. Like I have no hard feelings against them, especially in regards to this situation and them, taking me to get my driver's license and stuff. But I just remember hearing those words and I was like, wow, they're holding this over my head. Like I'm so close to freedom. And actually in reality, I wasn't close to freedom because I didn't have my own car. I didn't get my own car until I graduated high school, which was a year later, almost 2 years later, like a year and a half. I couldn't go anywhere anyways without my parents' permission, but I just wanted that driver's license so I can like, oh, I'm free, I have it right here. I could do whatever I want. I wanted that feeling. And plus my friends were getting their license, so I just wanted it. And I just remember like, I was annoying. I'm sorry. I was really annoying to my parents. Like every day, every time we went to go somewhere, we went to church, we went to the grocery store, we went to school, we went out to eat, like the mall. Anytime we were going someplace, I would be like, can I drive? Do you mind if I drive? Can I drive? Will you allow me to drive? Are you gonna let me drive? Like literally every different variant of that sentence, every different way the English language will allow me to ask that question, I said it to my parents. I was just like, can I drive? Will you allow me to drive? Can I please drive? Are you gonna let me drive? Like, and I know it was annoying. So my parents were like, Carly, you're really skating on thin ice right now. You are on thin ice. If you ask me one more time if you can drive, no, I'm canceling the appointment. You're not getting your license. And when you turn 18, you can go and get your license yourself. So that was the thing. If you don't get your license when you're 16 and you have to have your parents' consent, you have to wait until you're 18, which was, 2 years. So I was like, I can't. The embarrassment, because all my friends had their license and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, let me just shut up, throw away the key, not ask. That was like 2 weeks until the appointment time where my parents were like, okay, you're on thin ice. I'm going to cancel the appointment if you keep asking. For those next 2 weeks, I did not ask, not one time. And the day or two before the appointment, my dad was like, all right, Carly, come on, let's practice. Let's make sure you know everything. Parallel parking, 3-point turns, all this good stuff. Honestly, still to this day, I don't even know how to parallel park.
I'm terrible at parallel parking.
Like, I passed my test. I learned enough to pass my test, but now, I live in a kind of a city area. And just a couple days ago, there was a parking place. We were downtown. And there was a parking place, but it was parallel. And I was like, we're circling around until we find a parking garage because no, it looks too compact. I can't, I'm scared, but I was like learning all these things. So my dad was like, come on, let's learn, let's go do this. So I was like, okay, yes, inside I'm like, yes, and then I took my test. Obviously I passed, I got my license. Here I am 15 years later, still driving, still a decent driver, knock on wood. Another expression we used for another day. But yeah, it just really scared me in that moment when my parents said that I was on thin ice and they were about to cancel my appointment. And the fear that went inside me, I kind of use that with my kids these days too. My kids definitely know this phrase. They know to stop doing what they're doing. When I say, hey, you're on thin ice, or hey, you're skating on thin ice, they know like, oh, mom's mad. I'm probably am being annoying right now, or I'm probably disobeying, or I'm probably doing something that I shouldn't be doing. So let me just stop. For the most part, they stop. Now my youngest, he's a different breed. He will literally keep doing it, and even more annoyingly so, or even more defiant than he was in the first place.
Don't you dare! If you put one fin on that boat, are you listening to me? Don't touch the boat. Nemo!
Pray for me with him. But my oldest, he's like, ooh, yeah, let me stop, because I'm on thin ice and I don't want to see what that looks like when that ice breaks. So I'm gonna stop, I'm back away. My youngest, he's like, I'm on thin ice, jumps, breaks the ice, and then I'm like, ah, That's just how he is. That's his personality. But that's a story for another day as well. I can talk for hours about my kids. I always do. Hopefully you're not annoyed with it yet. We'll see. If you're still watching, thank you. So I hope you guys have a better understanding of the phrase on thin ice. If you do, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you all in the next video.